Today we are looking at the next set of cards for Origins, the first set of Riftbound Tcg. Let's go! Alrighty, so last video we took a look at the Fury cards. On this video we are going to take a look at the cards that belong in Calm. Calm is the green color of the set, and yeah, it's gonna go ahead and continue on with this video. So first card is just the rune, followed by this one here, the fort. This one looks really nice. Oh, and then the art is really cool, very calming with the tree and all. I guess I'm just gonna quickly compare it here with the Fury. So I didn't even notice that this was the explosion when I first saw it. I just thought some art and a stylized version of this rune, which is kind of is, but yeah, now that I see it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. So just looking at the Calm here, a bit more, you know, it still gets the tree vibe, I suppose, but a little bit more abstract. It's very nice how the full art looks very sick with the art, and then the rune itself kind of still gives that vibe similar to the you know, you got the leaf and everything, the plant's very calming while giving it its identity. So I really like how they've designed the runes here. In addition to having the full arts, I wonder if the future sets will have basically their own different arts when it comes to the full art, or if it's always going to be like this. Well, we shall wait and see. Excuse me. So now we'll take a look at the actual cards, just because that's how it's ordered here. So the first one here, we have Charm for 1 mana, 1 rune, move an enemy unit. Alright, so looking at kind of a base removal, for example, in here, which is this is probably similar to this level. You know, deal 3, this one here, about the same cost. This one though is not an action speed, so big difference on that. But this one, but yes, this one is also a little bit more flexible, so you could use this to start a showdown and stuff like that. So it's really nice. A lot of flexibility in here. Save your unit so that, you know, conquer and then pull it back so that it doesn't get the blowback damage. That is also very neat. So yeah, this looks like the staple green spell. It's cheap, it does a lot, it's always good. Next is a 2/2 unit called Clockwork Keeper. As you play me, you may pay an additional green or a calm rune, and if you do, draw a card. Okay, so 2/2 base unit with an extra cost. I expect this probably to get played a lot. If there's no better cards, it's just, you know, it's basic. If it could be a vanilla 2/2, or you could pay the extra stuff to draw. So late game you're probably gonna do this, and then early game, if you have this in the card, to just play on the curve and start applying pressure, play 2/2, boom. So yeah, I expect something like this to get played quite often. Next is 1 and then rune called Defy. The reaction speed, counter a spell that costs no more than 4 and no more than 1 rune. Whoa. Alright, so there's a counter spell in this game. That is very cool. Now with counter spells, obviously that is a high reaction card type thing. So obviously it's less, you want to be playing more proactive stuff than reactive, but something like this, like a counter spell, is so good. Whichever card game you play, that I just expect this to just get played more often than not, and it's most likely going to be a staple. We already saw all the cards in Fury, and they don't have anything like this, so there's an advantage in playing green. So I just expect the deck or the green decks to have kind of like the Defy automatically slotted on there, just because of the advantage of playing green. Because yeah, you're playing green, why won't you play cards that are unique, kind of like very very unique in what it does to your color? Yeah, so that right there is Defy. Next is another 1C or 1 cost spell. So far the spells that we've seen here, they've been very very cheap, so which is kind of cool for the color. So we'll see what the other spells are as they come along, but yeah, in here it's another reaction speed spell here, and it has on guard or 1 cheap cost on guard. So reaction speed, give a friendly unit +1 this turn, then an additional +1 this turn if it's the only unit you control there. Ooh. Alright, so that's cool. So if we recall, the Master Yi has an effect that is like, if it's the only thing you have in here, it gains a buff, or not gain a buff, gain like 2 might, or 2 might, or a might. It gains might basically. And that is very very cool. So now we see that's probably gonna combo with this card right here, which is Gourd. Those things like that is very very neat. Yeah, I also expect decks to run this card right here. You just get basically a +2 buff, or I keep saying buff, +2 might to your unit. So putting something like, say on the Master Yi, bringing it to 4 or +4 on that turn, when it's defending, is like having an extra unit there. That feels very very strong. So I expect to see a lot of like this card getting played as well. Next, we have 3 cost spell here called Find Your Center, action speed. If an opponent's score is within 3 points of the victory score, this cost 2 or less, draw 1 and channel 1 rune exhausted. Alright. It's okay. So your opponent needs to be at 5, 3 cost to draw and channel 1 rune. The thing with that though is, this is probably more of a sideboard card that you play against like an aggro deck when they try to score really fast, and this one kind of helps you ramp, basically channels a rune, right? But 1 mana or 1 energy to draw 1 is really really good. So yeah, it just, but it is, I don't know if it's main board reliant, just because when you're probably getting to the point where you're getting that 2 cost, you're probably not caring about the rune channeling at that point as much as you'd want to against like aggro. So I could really see this being a sideboard card, but not like a main deck card type card. Next is Meditation for 2 cost. Reaction speed. As an additional cost to play this, you may exhaust a friendly unit. If you do, draw 2, otherwise draw 1. Alright, so basically Pot of Greed. If you guys played Yu-Gi-Oh! And you know how broken draws are, and in a game that the draw is basically draw 1 per turn, this card seems really good. It's nice that it is at reaction speed as well. So that is kind of crazy, because you have basically play this on say a combat, right? And you play this on a combat, and then you just end up drawing card that which might be your answer sometimes, right? So This one for sure. I would personally play this. Draw is super good. I have high values for draw. Basically, all card games that I've played, draw is super essential. So having effect like this is good. But at the very least, it's always a draw one. But the fact that you can draw two makes it even better. I like this card a lot. Next here we have 5/5 Playful Phantom. So this one here, it's a vanilla. So actually vanilla. I did not expect that. So yeah. Wow, that's cool. So there's actually vanilla cards in this game. I did not expect that. But yeah, I guess depends on the color. That's what it's gonna matter for. There seems to be other cards that are better in here. I don't know. Like I'm just comparing it to the other colors. I don't know exactly all the colors or the cards yet in green, but the fact that it's just a vanilla feels like it's such a disadvantage to play a 5/5. Now, with that being said, it is the first set, right? So it might see play. Although with how the game kind of works, it feels like I probably don't want to play this, and I'd rather play the other things as well. I do kind of see why though that something like this exists in this color. Just because, for example, we already saw one card, which is this, right? On guard. So if this has an additional effect, it might just make it too strong. Because in green you have effects like this already, and I'm assuming there will be other cards like this with effects that are very, very similar, where they just kind of gain more and gain more if it's like the only unit, that kind of thing. We've seen that in Master Yi, and now in this card, so I expect more of that type of card here. So with that being said, yeah, I think it might just be right to have vanillas, because this easily becomes a 5/7 and an attack with on guard, so 6 mana, 5/7. Yeah, the only thing with that though, obviously, is you'll need more than it's a combo, so you need both pieces in your hand type thing. So anyways, that's kind of that. But yeah, Playful Phantom, I don't expect it to see much play, if any, but for sure not past the set. If it's gonna see play, because it's the first set, but after that I just don't expect to see this. Next, Rune Prison 2/1, or to be 2 cost for and 1 rune. It's an action speed, stun a unit. So okay, so stunning in this game just basically means it doesn't deal combat damage, right? So if something is stunned, it just doesn't give you the damage back on a fight. With that being said, then this could be good, but I mean, if you're not winning you can trade evenly, which is okay, but the 1 cost in here kind of hurts it a bit. It's not like Charm here, where you pay one. Like, again, we've talked about it on the previous set. The costs matter a lot as well, even though it's the same. So it's an extra 1 CP to basically do it at action speed. It's not as worth. Now, with that being said, you can stun something that is bigger, so it doesn't deal combat damage, but would that be worth it? Probably not, just because the way the game works, if you are in a combat, right, the damage heals right after, right? So there are moments of this, obviously, when it's gonna be it's gonna be okay, rather. Things where they have more than 1 unit, and you know, for you can kill one, but the other, or instead of both killing your or sorry, let's correct that. So they have 2 units, you have one, right? And it can kill you back, and you can kill both, right? But you'll stun one so they don't do damage, so your dude doesn't die, your unit doesn't die. So those kind of things, it's useful, but it has to be a deck, I guess, that built around it. Similar, like for example, the Leona deck, right? Because I believe Leona, if I recall correctly, when you stun something, you buff a unit, right? So, but now if it's just looking at that, it's not like amazing, right? It's probably gonna be in a Leona deck, but in terms of whether that's gonna be good, probably like good enough rather. It just feels like the other stuff are better. Like just think about Kaisa, the removal with Kaisa, right? And getting the cheaper cost now compared to this, and the Leona effects where you gain a buff. I don't know if it's good enough. It doesn't feel like that makes it, kind of worth. Next, 3/2 Solari Shield Bearer. When you play me, stun a unit. So similar thing there. Definitely you play this in like a Leona deck. When you want the stuns to go off. Now this is probably a little bit more playable. Just because when you look at the cards, right? Leona buffs a unit if you stun something. So something like this, right? So it becomes a 3/3 on a Leona deck. So that's probably why it's under costed. So there's some combos, I guess, when you start looking at it that way, which is kind of neat. But yeah, I could see this seeing play on Leona decks. On other decks though, probably not. Maybe Yasuo. This might be good in Yasuo, because Yasuo was a card, right? You just move stuff around, so maybe you have something that is you move something, and now you don't want like you're worried about your opponent having buffs, or sorry, I keep saying buff. Plus is like the on guard, right? But you want to play a card on there, or you want to move something on there, so you stun. Yeah, or yeah, I could maybe, yeah. So this card may be playable. It's not like the ideal just because it's undercosted or understated, not understated, but still cool overall. Next is Stalwart Poro 2/2 with the shield +1 when it's defending. All right, cute card. Poros are adorable. The art in there. This one though, the shield definitely fits in something like a Master Yi. This card automatically becomes insanely strong in something like Master Yi, because you put this there and now it's a 2/5 or you have a 2 cost with a 5 defending, and that's not easy to answer without a spell, right? And realistically, like we've seen, spells do cost quite a bit. Like for example, Annie costs 4, right? Hextech costs an extra rune. Obviously in Kaisa it's a total different thing, but we're not always looking at Kaisa. There's multiple decks, right? But yeah, so there's enough cost to try to kill this out of combat, because in combat it's even more difficult to kill the Stalwart Poro in combat because of this effect, especially in something like Master Yi. So 100% this is playable. I expect basically all green decks to be playing something like this. It is this effect is so good. Even though it's only 2 attack, it's still so good. Even later game when say it's late game, boards are clear, and what do you want to do? This can slap on. Now it's a threat because if you go and conquer, it's going to be harder to kind of kill it unless you have big units. And then because of that, late game, it applies a little bit of pressure by itself, right? So yeah, I expect a lot of play for this card. Next, a 3-cost spell called Stand United. Oh, this one's hidden. Alright, so you can hide this. And then, so you can play, basically, hidden is you play it on a battlefield and it is face down, which allows you to use the card later on in a different point of the game where it says it's speed. So this one's action speed. So buff a friendly unit, buffs give an additional +1 to friendly units this turn. Oh, okay. So this one kind of changes a little bit of how I looked at Lee Sin and Leona, because something like this, when they need a buff token, if they don't have a buff token, give them a buff token. But the nice thing with that is instead of just a normal +1, those with buffs go to +2 in terms of their might for that turn, in terms of the typical +1, which is really cool. The only thing is obviously you need a buff on it, and it's a hidden. It's a little expensive though, I feel, for what it does, but obviously this card will be played on those decks. One thing though that I would say that I am kind of starting to notice in here is that some of the cards, seeing that the buffs cards are like cards that I think work for something like Lee Sin, something like Leona, they feel a little weaker compared to cards that I see working with something like Master Yi, you know. So in that sense, I feel like Lee Sin, Leona, they might not be that good. We'll see. Next is a 3/3 Sunlit Guardian, shield +1, tank. So very similar to the Stalwart Poro, but with the tank, it's even better. Basically, you just have to assign this damage compared. So if it's with another unit on the battlefield, this has to take damage first. The only thing though with this is that tank effect is not really useful on something like Master Yi. So just keep that in mind. But the shield is very good. So, but either way, it's still a good card because the flexibility is always good. Flexibility is always good. Next, Wielder of Water. When I'm attacking or defending alone, I have +2, 3/2. Again, similar. This card just reads very well. I expect this to see play in a Master Yi deck. You know, it's the attacking part is good, and then the defending, obviously with the Master Yi buff, it adds on a lot. Looking at two, forgot. I just remembered now. Ari also works with a lot of the defending stuff because I believe, if I recall correctly, it's enemy unit attacking to your battlefield, and then they get the debuff, right? So it makes it even more annoying when you have cards like this that are defending this Sunlit Guardian. Sunlit Guardian, by the way, is super strong on something like Ari. It's not as crazy as obviously Master Yi defending alone, but it's still good cards. Next, it's a 4/3 unit here, Adaptatron. When I conquer, you may kill a gear. If you do, buff me. So gear removal. So far, we haven't seen any crazy gears. So as of right now, when I think of this card, sideboard. All right. Sideboard, it's not unplayable, but because obviously if gear is the meta, if every deck is running gear, this just gives you an advantage. So, or this you make you make kill. Does this mean just my gear or does opponent's gear as well? Because I believe it might be any. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's any, because then some of the cards have specifically say enemy. Yeah, like this, for example, enemy units. So choose an enemy unit. Not choose a unit. Choose an enemy unit. Yeah, this one says specifically friendly unit. Friendly. So my assumption on this is gear for either yours or your opponent. So yeah, you just kills a gear, definitely sideboard. Next 2-cost spell called Block. Another hidden. Although we have more hidden in here. Reds, I don't know if I recall correctly, didn't have much. Give a unit shield 3, so it's a +3 and tank this turn. Interesting. Of the action spell, so not as crazy, but it still does have some cool effects there. Excuse me. +3 on a unit is super strong, as we've seen. We talked about it earlier. Anything with a plus like 3, it's like basically a 3 playing another unit on there, right? So the only thing with this is its action speed. Would have been cool if this was reaction speed, because then now your combat, your stacking of the effects start to matter. Because this one all just had to happen at the beginning. So it is what it is. It is overcosted though if we look at the 2-3, but yeah. Would it be good enough? Maybe. I guess there's the hidden, so you just return a rune, exhaust or recycle a rune, and now you don't have to pay for this. But yeah, I could see it getting played, but it also would not surprise me if it doesn't. The other spells just seem better. Next is 2 CP or 2 energy spell, Discipline. So reaction speed, give a unit +2 this turn, draw 1. Okay, so this card is really good. +2 to a unit at reaction speed is really good. So now it becomes a combat trick in your hand. Not only that, you draw a card out of it, so it replaces itself. And obviously, like I said, we like the reaction speed part. This card seems like if you have nothing to you start your turn and you're not really you need some answers, or you need to kind of get through your deck. You play this, you +2 something. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be your own. It can be your opponent's, right? So just so that you can get a draw. So to try not to lose you the game, that those kind of events are happening, right? Sometimes you just need that draw. You just need the option just so that you have something, right? No, this card is really good, and I expect this card to see a lot of play. Next, Eclipse Herald, 7/7 unit with 1 recycle cost. When you stun an enemy unit, ready me and give me +1 this turn. How much was the other stun? The spell stun here. 2, 9, 9, 9 for a 9, 8. Yeah, it's not bad, but because then you have to stun. Because the thing is with something like this, with the effect is when you want to ready me, it gains more when it happens on the turn that it's played. But 9 mana and 2 recycle cost to play an 8 might, an 8 might with haste or accelerate in this game. Not the greatest, but if there are no other late game cards, I guess you play this, but yeah, it doesn't feel too good. Next is Mask of Foresight. 2 costs of the gear. When a friendly unit attacks and defend alone, give it +1 this turn. It's not bad because it happens in every gear, so it helps out with something like it helps it on mastery decks, but I feel like something like this is super. I don't know. I don't know how I feel with something like this. It feels like it should be good, but the fact that it's gear, I'd rather have this be like a spell, maybe. Yeah, because when you draw this, it just feels bad, right? Like you just rather have a unit that you draw, or a spell that you could play at reaction speed, right? Because now, if you have a friendly unit, they see this with say a master unit +3, which is kind of insane, but your opponent just will not care, right? They'll just try to remove it. Your opponent will just try to remove it rather than out of combat, rather, and by using spells. Yeah. Might be a sideboard card. I don't know. I feel like the other gears just feel like, I don't know. I'm not really the biggest fan of gears, but then again, I'm just thinking of how good it will be when they actually play the game. Next is a 3/3 Poro Herder. Excuse me. One recycle. When you play me, if you control a Poro, buff me and draw one. Seems nice. I'll keep saying. You just want to think. It is cool, but it definitely relied on having a Poro. So, because of the extra rune cost here, might, unless you're basically playing a gazillion Poros in the deck, then this card might not be that great. I remember talking about the cards here, like this extra keyword here, like Poro, that we have for this. So by the looks of it, it does work. There are cards that work with that, which is cool. Very cute. This might be a good card later on. If they made a card like this, I expect that there will be a Braum card that is in green, and that works with this, and it's gonna be like a Poro deck. So I just don't see that not happening at all, just because this card exists. So I expect that somewhere along the line of the game, we'll have Brahms as your legend, and it's gonna be like this with Poro Herder. So, yeah. Next is Reinforce 5 cost spell. Look at the top 5 cards of your main deck. You may play a unit from among them. Its energy cost is reduced by 5. Then recycle the remaining cards. This card obviously has a high floor, or high ceiling rather, but because then because you can just basically reduce 5, and then so it could potentially play like a 5 cost for free. But a card like this, where you have to be in the top 5 of your deck, everything just has to go right for this card to be good, and at that point, if it's reduced by 5, it's just better to play that card right rather than this. Play this and spend the 5 on here, because it's essentially the same thing, right? It's essentially the same thing. It's just that if it's less than 5, or if the cost is 5 or less, you just get another free thing from the top 5. Cards that rely on that just don't usually feel good. So I don't expect this card to be good, because like I said there, I just would rather play like a 2 cost. So think about it this way, right? You pay 5 for this. Anything 5 cost or less will be essentially free. So, but if you don't kind of have that 5 cost or less, it's whatever, right? Because anything over that just becomes, you're just paying like the cost of it. It just, you don't have to draw, you just got an extra 5 card for the turn type thing. If instead you have a card that says draw a card, right? With other flexibility on it, and then you draw on that card anyway that you were gonna play this for free. It could have been like a 3 cost, and now you're playing like, for example, this one. We'll use this as a baseline discipline, right? To draw 1, right? Obviously, there need to be an opponent unit, but let's just say there is. Obviously, this I'm giving hypotheticals, so. But anyways, 2 costs to draw 1, and then you say you draw 3 costs, and that's a unit that you could play. You play you're dead. This, and now you also have the 3 costs, and then a bunch of other ones there. Well, yes, you get the more, like, you get some options on there. It's like you kind of had to rely on kind of the other options. What if there isn't, right? You didn't know. Nah. This one, you just get the option, like so much more option with something like this. It's rather than committing the 5 cost to possibly and hopefully get a card that you could play out of this, right? So you know what I mean? Like, it's just so much better to play something like this, where it gives you an option anytime, and could potentially equal the same as this. Because the moment you cost spell or you spend 5, you're spending so much already, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't expect to see a card like this to see play. Next is Spirit's Refuge. 2 cost gear. When you play this, buff a friendly unit. No gear, that's okay. Friendly buff units have deflect if they didn't already. Okay, so something like this with a passive. Like this one, the other gear that I said, yeah, to this one. This one is something I probably prefer compared to this, right? The gear has an effect when you play it, and then it has an ongoing effect after. So this is kind of what I want to see in the gear to make me really like and feel like, oh, this gear is cool. This gear is playable, right? Because it does something when you enter, and then it has an ongoing effect still, right? So it's nice. It's nice having something like this. So yeah, like, you know, if you're playing gears, expect to play this. This will obviously get played, or I won't say obviously, but I could see this getting played in stuff like Lee Sin, Leona, that kind of decks. Windwall. 3 cost 2. Oh, that's expensive. Reaction, counter a spell. Huh. Yeah, this is expensive. I do expect something like this to see play, but not the same level as Defy. Defy, you'd probably run like 3 of these. Windwall, you'd probably run 2, 1, probably just 1. Yeah, you're probably gonna run 1 of this and then another 1 or 2 in the side deck, just in case you need the matchup calls for it. Other than that, Defy just seems to be the better option, right? So you don't want too many counter spells. Yes, counter spell is good, but it's also a reactionary card. You don't want too many reactionary cards, because eventually in a card game you'll end up, and it happened multiple times to me, and I'm sure people who play card games can relate to this, where they play something like counter spells or something reactionary, and their hand is basically all that reactionary thing, and they could not do anything. That's why I like cards that just draw, like this meditation, right? It draws, right? You don't need to have that friendly unit, but it's not, you know, I just need to draw. I have something to play when I have this card. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Next is Wizened Elder. When I'm buffed, or 4/4, when I'm buffed, I have an additional 1. Yeah. This one, if it fits on a Master Yi deck, just because it's a 4/4, maybe just a curved thing, might see play. You definitely will have this in Lee Sin for because it's good. Again, I don't know how the Lee Sin deck, I don't see the other colors, but this I expect to be on there, just because when it's buffed you can have an additional +1, so your buffs that is so annoying that you can only have one buff per unit. The fact that we have cards like that give him an additional might makes that a little bit better. It feels a little bit better to buff something. Alright, Ari, Alluring. When I hold, you score 1 point. Okay. So this is cool. So 5/4. Very, very cool card. That effect feels very, very strong to the point that I expect Ari to have. Basically, she's a lightning rod, or she has a target on her back right away. The moment that you play her on a battlefield, they're gonna try to kill this as much as they can, right? Scoring 2 for holding is so strong. Just because you'll normally just score 1 and the game is only up to 8, so scoring 3 from 1 unit is insane, right? Because she should score when she conquers and then she has to hold, right? So yeah, she feels very, very strong. And then you obviously have the buff cards, and then Ari also has the effect. So I want to see the blue Ari and compare the two, and see which Ari would play with the effect, or with the as our champion, with our legend Ari, if ever we're playing that Ari. But yeah, the card reads insane. Like, the thing with this card obviously is like champion units, they cannot be borderly broken because you always have access to one of them, right? So they don't get those effects that are insane, right? But this effect like this that makes the game kind of unique and really cool. Alternate art, Ari, arcade, or I forgot the skin line. The arcade or different Ari line, but I know there's a game line in League, so yeah. Next is Blitz. Blitzcrank. Tank. 5/5. When you play me to a battlefield, you may move an enemy unit to here. Oh, that very, very cool. I like that, because so if you guys are not familiar with the video game League of Legends, basically Blitzcrank is one of the older champions in the game. And the effect of Blitzcrank is, or his main defining characteristic is a hook, which basically he throws in the arm, robotic arm, and grabs him towards you. So that effect right there, when you play me to a battlefield, you may move an enemy unit here. That is so cool, that it's just so thematic, and it works not only in the card game, but with the theme of Blitzcrank. I love that a lot. When I hold, return me to my owner's hand. That is very cool as well. So this card looks very fun. Just to kind of talk about like this one here. 5/5 over this. Like, why would I play that over this? I will not, right? Like, this has so much thing going on. Obviously, it's a champion unit, but the tank, you play it to a battlefield, there's not a crazy effect that just grabs them. When you hold, you bounce it back, and then you can replay it again. It's a beautiful card. This is what you kind of want, not the other vanilla one there. So yes, and all of that you gain for just a rune cost, right? So, yeah. Caitlyn 3/3 and rune. I must be assigned combat damage last. Oh, that's a cool effect. So we have like the tank here, might be assigned combat damage first, but Caitlyn just basically goes last. That is very neat. Deal damage equal to my might to a unit at a battlefield. You use this ability only while I'm at a battlefield. Very interesting. So this card is just cool. I really like this card a lot. You get that effect, obviously, so she's just a threat whenever she's at the battlefield, and the fact that she's not easy to kill makes her a really, really good threat. Obviously she's not like a crazy card for something like Master Yi, because then you don't get the effect of, assigning the combat damage last to her. But in something like a Yasuo or Ari, so Yasuo, it's nice because you can move Caitlyn. So if once she's ready, you can just move her to a battlefield using Yasuo's effect, and now she's still active and you can use her effect, right? That is dope. Ari, it's another example. If she's already on the battlefield, you could kind of, grab something with Blitz, deal damage with Caitlyn, or something, or not even Blitz, just charm something, say on a different battlefield, and then kill it with Caitlyn from the opposite battlefield. Like, that is dope, right? And then obviously with something like that, you have if something attacks Caitlyn, say you have Ari, right? Something you charm something to Caitlyn, like a 3-cost unit, now it becomes a 2. Actually, it's not too much good on Ari, I'm just thinking, but yeah, you can use the effect so that there's no blowback in the damage type thing. So yeah, well, other than that, yeah, Caitlyn I can see being very, very cool. I like the card. The art obviously really nice, and Caitlyn's one of my champs that I really, really like. So yeah. Next is Last Stand, 3-cost 1 rune action. If be a double or friendly unit smite this turn, give it temporary. Kill it at the start of its controller's beginning phase before scoring. Oh, it's before scoring. I was thinking it might work with Blitz there, but before scoring. So, this it's okay. If it was reaction speed, again, stuff like buffing, I like them at reaction speed. At action speed, they're okay. Just sometimes though they are useful, like, just trying to get over something that's really, really big, especially on something with, for example, a Master Yi deck or even Ari, like those types of effect, right? So Master Yi becomes a +4, right? Yeah, those kind of effects are really good. So you're just making them stronger, right? So yeah, it's dope, but I feel like I just rather have On Guard than Last Stand, especially because my unit's not gonna die. But I won't be too mad to see this card played. If might be played like a one-off type thing in a deck. So Mage Seeker Warden, 6/5, 1 rune. When I'm at a battlefield, opponent can only play units at their base. When I'm at a battlefield, spells and abilities can't ready enemy units and gear. Alright. So that's neat. First effect of this kind that we have. So a little bit more of a control-y type effect, right? You limit what your opponent can do. So that is cool. The problem that I see though with this card is it feels like it's not a green card. We've seen so far on the green, right? It feels like they're very mid-range effect type cards. Battle if something happens in the middle, that kind of thing. This one's a little bit more control feeling. So yeah, there might be a good control deck, but yeah. What I do see with this though is that this could work with charms, with Blitzcrank, that kind of thing, right? So that's cool, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's good enough. It's also a little bit expensive for what it does, especially when you compare something like a Blitz. But yeah, this is actually, no, this card is a late game card. I'm reading this completely incorrectly just because of the cards that we've seen in green. Yes, it's a control card, but it's also it feels like a ender, right? So when you're trying to hold a battlefield, right, you just kind of play this, right, on battlefield that you're kind of trying to hold. So not only are you reinforcing that, say on your 7th point to get to 8, your opponent's now basically. Actually, no, that doesn't even work that way. Oh, I'm just thinking if there's any scenario where this is kind of good. There might be, cause then yeah, I'm thinking there an effect. Have you seen any ganking cards in green yet? I'm just thinking because Yasuo can move them, so you probably move something, play the ganking on a battlefield, and to kind of win the opponent point. So yeah, I feel like I'm trying too hard to make this card really good, and I just feel like it might not be fitting in the color green, at least from what we've seen. So yeah. Next is Party Favors, 3-cost spell. Each player chooses cards or runes. For each player that chooses cards, you and that player you draw 1. For each player that chooses runes, you and that player channel 1 rune exhausted. This feels like a card for multiplayer. Because then, yeah, you basically. Each player will draw anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just thinking, I thought you'd draw more than them, but guess not. Nope. I don't. Yeah, maybe on multiplayer, but I just don't see this card being better than something like this, right? So, nope. It's what it is. Maybe there's an effect that this rune part here is really good. So, but I don't see it right now. It's just there. Next, 3-cost Solari Shine. When you kill a stunned enemy unit, you may exhaust this. Draw a card. You have the stun. So gear, expensive 3. I just try to play something because yeah, what does it do? You need to have something stunned. You need to kill it. Actually, this just probably happened. Actually, no, I'm reading that wrong. This just happens because yeah, you just stun something so that they don't blow back the kill, and you try to kill them. Yeah, and then you just exhaust this to draw, to extra draw. Actually, might be really good. Might be really good for a gear. And yeah, expect this in Leona, obviously. So stuff like this, like anything with stun, I just feel like yeah, put on Leona. And then start cutting cards from there. So that's how you're gonna build Leona if you ever want to play Leona. Basically grab all the cards that work with the effect and then start cutting from there when you play, because you might end up having too many cards. But yeah. Next is Sona, 4/4/1 rune. When I'm at a battlefield, ready 4 runes at the end of your turn. Oh, I like that a lot. That just reads very well. Obviously, you have to be at a battlefield. She's a 4/4, so just the right amount. And then at the end of your turn, you're ready 4 runes. So this already gets its effect. The turn you play it. It's very nice because you have crazy reaction speed cards. Yeah, like we've already seen this, right? Because we're so many reaction, even this, right? Like you got cards that are reaction speed, so this is crazy. This card is not. I can see this being very good in like a Yasuo deck, in an Ari deck. Maybe not a Master Yi because you don't want her dying just by herself in the battlefield, but you probably still play her because it's so good, the effect. So. And then, yeah, you just get a free 4-cost unit, and then the threat will always be the opponent to kill. Yeah, Sona's cool. Sona's really good. Next is Tarek. Shield, tank. Other friendly units have shield. Wow. 441. Yeah. No, this is dope. This is dope because you know, this card is really good, I feel, just because, yeah, you just get the shield, and then throw in the mastery, and then now if you say you want to put units to help out, yes, you won't get the master Yi effect, but they all get shield, so you get a +1 anyways, and that feels really good. So yeah, Tarek's cool. Tarek's really nice. Yeah, cool. Next, Tasty Feyfolk. Accelerate. Oh, so they do have an accelerate effect as well. 7/6. And then Death Knell, Channel 2, and Exhausted, and draw 1. Oh, not the biggest fan of that. Like, as we've seen with red, we have cards that essentially are just channeling runes late game, and I feel like that just kind of gets weak at that point. So yeah, no. It's cool though that you got to draw, but I feel like there are just other better uses of your energy at that point in the game. Yasuo 6/6. When I attack, deal damage equal to my might to an enemy unit here. Oh, alright, so that's cool. I believe there was a card. Where's one card? Which card was it that we saw earlier? I don't remember anymore. But, or actually, no. It is Caitlyn. It's Caitlyn. So, you know, something like this, you could play Caitlyn effect on an enemy unit on the battlefield, and then conquer with Yasuo, and then they'll attack, so you'll deal the damage from Caitlyn, and then this damage, and then there's the opponent's unit just killed. That's a cool combo, right? So if the other Yasuo is not as good as this, and this is the Yasuo that you play, then I expect Caitlyn to be on all the Yasuo decks as well. Very neat. Amazing skin too. Love this. How many more do we have? Oh, almost done. Almost done. Alright, next is Sonya's Hourglass. 2 cost hidden. The next time a friendly unit with Nike, kill this instead. Recall that unit exhausted. Alright. So this one, it's just a trigger effect. That's cool. So it's not actually, there's no speed in here. It's just if something dies, you just get the effect. I believe that is already so strong. We've seen that effect in set, right? I believe there was also a red card that did that, if I recall correctly. Where? I do not remember. But I remember, feel like we read something like that already before, where they just don't die. So yeah, having things that don't die to be able to be used again is kind of crazy. So yes, Sonya's Hourglass is cool, and because this card I expect to be played in basically all the green decks. Because in all the good green decks that I could think of, like for example in Master Yi, it's already so hard to kill a single unit that's defending, and now they just won't die. These Sonyas, and then next turn they're just there again. So if you have a big unit that's hard to kill, boom, still alive. In Ari, basically the same deal with Master Yi. In Yasuo, you know, something that would die, for example, this Yasuo, right, dealt damage, right, like for example deal, like you basically try to trade even with something. So for example a 7 or your opponent has an 8 might unit, Yasuo kills it, now Yasuo still lives for your next turn. So yeah, I just expect Sonya's to get played. Next is Lee Sin. Shield, so that's the goal, and then you get buff. I can have any number of buffs. There we go. Alright, so there's a card that says you can have any number of buffs. That's dope. Because now that kind of makes Lee Sin better. Because the biggest problem that I had with Lee Sin is the fact that buff is so limited. So, you know, when we were looking at the legends, when I first saw them, you have something like Victor, where every turn you just gain something useful. Now you have something like Lee Sin that can have a many number of buffs, which is also useful. So that is cool. I like that. I want to see if there are other Lee Sins, right? And if there are, then dope. I'm not sure if it'll be good, but yeah, the Lee Sin is just a very, very sticky unit. It sticks to the board very well. I'm not sure if there are cards that are like kill a unit. I don't remember seeing, because I think if there are, then unfortunately that's just the end of Lee Sin being one of the more good decks. Like Lee Sin's probably just gonna be still okay for your locals and stuff like that. But if there are cards that are kill a unit, then maybe Lee Sin might not be the play for like the high level, right? Because the killer unit, that sounds like a card that's just gonna be meta relevant no matter what, unless it's like 7-8 cost. Oh, we might have seen it. I don't remember actually, but yeah, this one obviously can have a number of buffs, so that's cool. But yeah, like it's so limited. If there is a card though that goes like whatchamacallit, if there is a card that goes, you could spread out your buffs at some point in the game, then now I can see that being relevant. But other than that, yeah, Lee Sin. Just don't give me. Let's just not have a card that says kill a unit. Then this card needs to be. Lee Sin could be playable. Actually, love this art though. The Dragon Lee Sin, very cool. Next is Leona. When opponent scores within 3 points of the victory score, I enter ready, or as a 6/6, and stun enemy units here of -8 to a minimum of 1. Alright. So 6/6 haste, that's cool. Stun a unit. So, but the problem is you have to stun a unit and then play her there. So 5 ores. Yeah, 5. I enter ready. Stun enemy here -8, minimum of 1. Yeah, I'm not liking the Leona. Like, Leona's so dope, but her effects just don't feel great. Yeah, kind of sad about Leona. Look at this. This is such a sick art, right? Next, 4 cost spell with 3 rune. That's a very expensive cost. Mystic Reversal. Again, control of a spell. You may make new choices for it. Reaction speed. No. That's way too expensive for what it does. You know? Like, yes, you probably like a late game card type thing where. Yeah, no, I'm not a fan. It's expensive. But I guess like we're thinking of Lee Sin, that essentially like a counter spell for. Yeah, actually no. Why would you play this when you have actual counter spells like this? Cheaper. And does more. Right? Yeah, no, just play counter spell. Like, don't even play this. Seal of Focus, just the seal here, same thing. Yeah, from what we've seen though. Okay, hold on. So just a note for this. This is cool because these guys make so you play this basically with less cost, which is amazing. For that, one less. So you just become cost. That's really dope. There were other cards that I saw earlier. Oh, Defy. That's the one. Defy and Charm without having cost. You just play 1 for a Charm. That. Okay. From the cards that we've seen, I believe Seal of Focus compared to Seal of Rage, I think might be more relevant. Not because Seal of Rage is bad, Seal of Rage is actually good as well. It's just because Kaisa already does what Seal of Rage does. Minus that you could use it for units, right? But green has some of the crazier spells, and having access to this, we don't have to pay that rune cost, feels really good. Next, 8/8/2, so 1 with the field of focus. White Flame Protector. When you play me, give a unit +8 this turn. Very generic effect, but it feels like it's very strong. +8 is so strong. Obviously, like this, they have to be stunned. This, just crazy. You get an 8 unit. You get a +8. Works with Yasuo. Works with Caitlyn, right? Like, just hello. I'm not sure if there are units or cards in this game as well where it's like kill a mighty unit, in which then you can just go do this, give it to like something weak, give it to +8, and then kill that unit that's mighty, because they become mighty, right? So something like that. And then yeah, we also had a lot of the shield cards. We have tanks in this color. This card, I could see this card feels like the better late game card compared to obviously this. And there's another card that I said was a late game card. No, not that. I do not remember. But anyway, besides, this one. Yeah, so 6, 7, 8, I would rather just play White Flame Protector, because that just feels like a little bit more flexible and a little bit better than this. Than this. So yeah. Next, that's it for the rune or the calm colors there. And yeah, as per the cards, which cards do I really like? Probably my favorite unit is between Caitlyn, Sona, and Blitz on these colors, but as of right now, it's probably Sona. Sona, just to me, if you guys have watched the other video with like my tier list, how I ranked Annie there, Sona kind of does that. Obviously, she has to be in a battlefield, and she has to stay alive to get the effect. But this card, having this option, is basically making me want to play green. Not gonna lie. So that is dope. I really, really like this card. Like, really like this card. So yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. In terms of spells, my favorite one probably Charm. But obviously Defy is insane. On Guard is pretty good. Actually no, maybe Meditation might be my favorite one. Followed by Charm. Meditation's insane. So yeah, like I said, yeah. Looking back at the Sona, right? Sona, you could play Meditation, and then if you draw something that's 2, and that could be your answer, right? Like, that's just so cool. Yeah, very, very cool color, and I am liking the effects on a lot of these. Obviously, some of them I just don't care for, mainly the stun ones. I just don't think they're great from what we've seen. There's so much setup for it, right? So yeah, that's it for this video here. If you guys have enjoyed that, give it a like and subscribe. And next video we will be doing the mind cards, so plenty of them in here too. So again, thank you all for watching, and drink your veggies.